I'm going to be talking to you today about the disciplinary procedure, why you need it and how you use it. So what do we mean by disciplinary and the disciplinary procedure, and why do you even need to care about it? Well, firstly, I'm going to take a step back to your disciplinary policy. So before somebody's even done something wrong and you've got to deal with a problem in your business, you need to have a disciplinary policy. Firstly, it's a legal requirement. If you're employing people, you must have a disciplinary policy that you give people access to. But it's more than that. It's about setting your expectations. If you've got expectations set within your business, you're able to tell people what you need of them, when you need it, what you expect people not to do, how they should be behaving, you're going to have a lot less problems when it comes to even needing a disciplinary procedure. Many people go for years without doing a single disciplinary. And largely that's because the expectations are set. People know what's expected and they know what will happen if they cross the line. And that's the key thing. Having expectations is one thing, but letting people get away with not meeting those expectations just lowers the expectations. You might have written down an expectation that, let's say, for example, common one I come across, using mobile phones on the shop floor. It may well be written down. It may be in your mobile phone policy. You may repeatedly say to people, put your phone away, don't have your phones out. But if there's no consequence, if there's no sanction, or there's times where people get away with it, you find they just keep doing it. And once one person does it, well, then I might as well do it as well. That's the attitude you start to get, and it breeds a culture where your expectations don't need to be met. So by having a disciplinary policy, by having your rules generally, and that's not just your disciplinary policy, it's your mobile phone policy, it's your expectations of what happens on the shop floor, it's your expectations of what a customer will experience. All of those things, when you've got them all written down, when you're really clear to people, you emphasize them, you remind people, then you're going to get far less issues because people know what's expected of them. And they know that if they don't meet those expectations, there's going to be a consequence to that. And that's where your formal disciplinary procedure comes in. And you don't need to use the formal disciplinary procedure in every situation either. So you may find that actually just a gentle reminder to people, an overall reminder of what you do and why you do it, is enough to stop any behaviours that you don't want happening. But if all else fails, your disciplinary procedure is the one thing that you can fall back on. And if you get to a point where you may even have to dismiss somebody because of their conduct, your disciplinary procedure is absolutely essential for ensuring that you have a fair dismissal. So what do we mean by that? The disciplinary procedure is a formal process. There's an expectation that employers will, to the best of their ability where they reasonably can, follow the ACAS code. The ACAS code sets out exactly what should happen, and that is that no disciplinary action should be taken until a full and thorough investigation is conducted. That's your first thing, is to gather the facts, and ideally somebody different to the person doing the disciplinary hearing will do that investigation. That can be challenging in a small business. You might need to take advice on that. But somebody should be doing the investigation. They should be fully gathering the facts. They should look at all of the evidence, whether that's talking to people, looking at documentary evidence, CCTV evidence, whatever that is, gathering that all together. You then have your formal disciplinary hearing, which you have to write to people, formally notifying them that they need to attend, formally telling them the allegations against them, and providing them with all of the evidence that you've gathered. You'll then need to hold your disciplinary hearing, consider all the evidence, consider any mitigating factors and their responses before making a decision about a disciplinary warning, which could be a first written warning, final written warning, dismissal, gross misconduct dismissal without notice. But whatever that outcome, you can only give those outcomes if you followed that process, if you've gone through the disciplinary procedure, and make sure that you give people the right of appeal afterwards. Now, I haven't got time in this video to go through kind of the ins and outs of exactly what you need to do in each of those steps. And I would recommend that you take advice, particularly if there's a potential dismissal, because failure to follow those steps could result in an unfair dismissal claim. Not only that, but if somebody feels they've been treated unfairly, even if you feel like you've done the right thing, that's more likely to prompt them to go to ACAS, to early conciliation, to start a tribunal claim, because they're aggrieved by what's happened. And of course, if somebody's been given a warning but still continues to work for you, that's going to affect their motivation if they feel like they've been treated unfairly. So there is a benefit to your business of being able to treat people fairly, make them feel like they've been treated fairly, as well as making sure that you avoid a tribunal claim, and by going through a proper procedure, avoiding that unfair dismissal claim. So that's given you a very brief overview as to disciplinary procedure. But more crucially, that having your rules in place, your policies, setting your expectations and being clear with people what they are, will avoid you needing to use a disciplinary procedure, because people will follow it when you've got it there and you're reminding people of it on a regular basis. So set the foundations right, but know that you've got that procedure to fall back on should you need it. And certainly if you're looking at dismissals, I recommend that you take advice to make sure that you don't find yourself making a mistake and ending up in an employment tribunal for an unfair dismissal.